Hi everyone, I'm Jenny Milky, and this is just a very quick glimpse into the mystery and digging and discovery of my ancestry and looking for lost last names. This is my immediate family, my parents, and my amazing younger sister. When I'm trying to tell somebody how to remember my last name, so that emails get to me and not bounced off to somebody who sends rude responses, I say, I've come up with a catchphrase, you know, it's like Milky Way with two extra letters. Milky Way the candy bar, the ever so popular gel pens that didn't really work very well and when I was in middle school, the Galaxy. And I know that more than one of us, or more than a couple of us, have used the tagline, the Milky Way is the better way to win elections. It's in grade school. For a very quick overview, going back 5 generations, this is just to give you a feel for where I came from. This is project is for a class but on multiculturalism and diversity. So we're trying to introduce ourselves by understanding our current context based on our historical ones, where we came from. Um, because most of this presentation will be on my dad's side of the family, I'll quickly share my mom's side first. Um, so she was, you know, born in Wisconsin, grew up in Cedar Rapids, but left in college when she realized that Cedar Rapids, well, home to the first Muslim mosque in America, really wasn't a great place to study international relations. She moved to DC, where she and my dad met working for the Carter administration. They met on Jennifer Street, and that's not how I got my name, but it makes a much better story than the true one. Anyways, so my mom's parents were both from the Door County, Wisconsin area. Lived in Cedar Rapids. My grandmother also lived in Montana. They divorced when their 3 children were adults and both remarried. But go back a third generation. James, Lavinia, Walter, and Elise were all had gigantic farming families out in the Midwest, and we've got one set of ancestors coming from Norway, and many coming from Germany. So bouncing up top to my dad, so he has a master's degree in architecture, as did his father and his oldest brother. My dad is one of 4 boys. My dad's mother, Mary, was a nurse, as were her sisters, or at least one of them, from North Carolina. And my grandmother actually was the nurse for Margaret Mitchell's father. And so I have my copy of Gone with the Wind has a signed letter from Margaret Mitchell to my grandmother in it. And then, so we can't go back too far from my grandmother's side because her mother grew up in an orphanage, and the orphanage burned down with all of the records. It's up here that things start to get a little wonky or wacky off. So this individual, Herbert Eric Joachim Fritz Mielke, we're not actually sure what his name is, but this is when I talk about, well, let's just say Herbert, my grandfather, called his father the old bastard. We'll get there. I'll explain it in a minute, but that's who I'll be referring to. First, though, the 3 architects before my grandfather Herb and my uncle Herb passed away. Um, they and my dad designed the church where my parents were married, which is down here in Marietta, Georgia. Was designed kind of based on a Frank Lloyd Wright theme with all of the lines and all of the windows. It's really beautiful, and I love the story. And then my uncle Herb, this is an article from 1978. When he was a 35-year-old architect, he went into business with a black architect, Charlie Brown, and they were Milky and Brown Associates was the first interracial architecture firm in the entire Southeast. They were very progressive, with solar heating office buildings, and the fact that there was an interracial company in Atlanta, architecture firm in Atlanta, was very progressive at the time. So now I'm going to hop on over to Germany, where the old bastard was born in Brandenburg. His parents were from Gdansk, which is right on the border of Poland and Germany, and so it's changed boundaries and changed countries very frequently through history. And his godfather was the last Kaiser of Germany, though he only served for a few months. But when he was 7, he and his mother, who had divorced his father, came over here on a ship called the Prussia, which was ein Dampfschiff, or a steamship, that left from Hamburg to New York in 30 days. We can see Ellis Island records show that Hedwig Mielke, the name was Mielke at the time, and Herbert came over on this ship. That's where things start to go really wild. And I've got the colors so that I can keep my sources straight. To shorten the story, or make it as succinct as possible, pretty much that Herbert Erich Joachim Fritz Mielke, any of his names, had 3 wives in the same city at the same time. The first wife did not know about the second and third, and the second wife was also a 4th wife because they divorced and got back together. But trying to trace, even through the census records, every single census, he's got a different birth date, a different birthplace, and his first wife, Martha, who they gave birth to my grandfather. So my grandfather had the second wife as his school teacher. So Martha then died, but he had already married Elizabeth and Helen using different names. We've got Herbert Mielke, which then changed to Herbert Milky, Van Tamerlane, and Eric Milky, although Eric's son and daughter did not take the last name Milky for whatever reason. We're still trying to parse that out. So anyways, after Martha died, the man with many names took second and third wives, moved them out to California from Cincinnati. He bought them houses next to each other. They did not appreciate that, so he had to buy, across a river. He still used different names with both of them, but he was an entrepreneur and founded Lady Godiva Cosmetics. And it's just as an absolute mystery, which is why I think my grandfather, who I never met, but was known to be like hilariously funny, and very, very intelligent. I'm wondering if that's why he called him an old bastard, if there was not just humor in there, but also looking at the etymology of the word, coming from Old French and then German, illegitimate, and my my dad only met his grandfather once, so we are still trying to track down a picture of him. We know a picture exists, but it's just a crazy, crazy triangle, and I am very glad. I'm grateful for the technology that has allowed us to move past. I mean, to learn about the other wives. It makes a great story, and also for you know I speak German, and so I have been able to translate a lot of the or read a lot of the documents, um, like the ship records, and it's I can't wait to go back further. But that's it for right now. Thanks.